I just wanted to come back to the issue of this issue of birth certificates.
Yes, thank you.
It's a very thorny one, actually, especially where the birth certificates are backdated. And we have come up in instances where we see that the birth certificates have the same serial numbers, and others have the same, let's say it is two. There was one that we picked up, 315, and it is 123. They followed one another. So these are some suspicious cases that we've seen. And we've seen also where there have been alterations on the birth certificates. People trying to alter the birth certificates. And others, even the month was written in French. February. And I photocopied and shared that in the team. So there are some instances, where we have to use our judgment when we think that these documents are suspicious. We don't have right to interview, but we probe and we scrutinize. Because this is to ensure that what we have in the database would enhance the integrity of the process, and that we do not feed into the database. In Bible, my friend can tell you about certain things that we've discovered. People sitting around the corner issuing some of these documents. These are practical cases that we've seen. The law says that you come with a birth certificate. Okay, the birth certificate doesn't give you nationality, citizenship. That's also another issue you have to determine. Because automatically, it doesn't mean that when you have birth certificate, Gambia, something that escapes us as a commission, that we could have come up with a regulation to regulate just as we've done with the attestation. And that is where integrity is important. And we've seen it also. I went to Haji Kunamas. I was called, and they wanted my supervisor to go and report to the police to give a statement about an issue. And I was very clear. I said that she would not report if that is not our business. We've done the needful to make sure that we protect, the integrity of the registration process. Because documents can be valid but not authentic also. And I think, where you suspect that the document is fake or is mandated, it becomes a problem.
At all. So I think, as Vice said, I think this is to our lawmakers, because in the law it says birth certificate. So sometimes we need to try and, the law has to be specific. Otherwise, it creates problem once it becomes ambiguous. Because somebody can claim, I have a birth certificate because the law says I have to do that. But there is a bigger law that says at least one of your parents should be there. So that is why sometimes, like people will say, your people are questioning. We are not questioning. Because the first thing that we see is, when you come to when we ask you whether you have registered, that is not whether you are Gambian or not Gambian. I think we should make that distinction. Because just bringing a birth certificate, not Gambian, no, but what is written there is sufficiency, can you do Gambian? So, you are not Gambian. Even though you have a birth certificate, you are not Gambian. So